Hello everyone and welcome to today's discussion, which is going to be Star's End. This will more or less be named an unofficial spot review because while it is somewhat part of this series, I wouldn't consider the way that I tested the area to be good enough to compare it to the previous ones. There are a lot of reasons why, in my eyes at least, this is unofficial or at least different, and let me just point out the main ones, as I know that most of you will not make it to the end of this video. So the most important ones are, first off, my main character is a level 62 wizard. Experience wise, I already established that level 61 is my baseline, and I don't really have any character geared enough to grind here at level 61, so that is an issue. The second one, and perhaps the most important one, my best gear, the best I have to offer, is 261 AP with a maneuver. I might as well just show it now on the screen while I discuss about it, but while 261 AP is above soft cap and probably more than most people have, most people who even watch this video will probably not have this much AP, it's still not enough to grind on this area efficiently. If I learned something throughout my 10 hours spent here, is that you would need, in my opinion, at least 269 AP. That would probably be the entry level for this area, and from there you just go up, and probably the ideal is 277 plus or something like that. In general, I can say that I didn't have enough AP to feel like I am grinding here efficiently. I mainly came here for, let's say, 3 reasons. The most obvious one is a spot review. Then I just wanted to check out the spot. I came here as soon as the spot was released, a couple of days after it was released, and I wanted to see what everyone was talking about in terms of the monsters are tough to kill and all of that. I wanted to check out the area. And then third reason, I wanted the crystal. The crystal, the corrupted gem for your offhand, is pretty much always sold out on the marketplace with a lot of pre-orders for it. So I wanted to grind here until I got 2 of those gems for myself. Then I would leave and never return, or at least not for a few good months, until I get my gear for it. So that's that for the introduction. Let me start off with the rotation, I suppose, like I usually do. For rotations, I managed to find this map online, obviously not made by myself, but it should give you an idea about where you can find useful rotations here. I personally grinded on this one, most likely will have an arrow on the screen. I would say the way you grind here is you try to find at least 3 or 4 of these crystals, ideally 4 or more in a rotation that you can circle around. You basically try to gather groups, I would say 1 at most, as many you can aggro, and just pull them as close to the crystal as possible, and then destroy the crystal. As soon as the crystal is destroyed, all of the monsters you lured together are gonna get knocked down, and when they are knocked down, ideally you should be able to basically kill them before they get back up on their feet. In my case, I wasn't able to kill them that fast. Usually they would survive with maybe 10 to 25% HP left, and then I would, go on and kill them while they were chasing me, I suppose. Yeah, that's how you basically grind here. My own rotation is probably not the most optimal one. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of better groups out there that you can use to increase your efficiency even more. And on top of that, I don't have any Akman or Histria experience myself. I don't know the best wizard combos to actually grind efficiently, for example at Histria, and so after the PvE buff for wizards, I just considered that it would be fine to grind only with my awakening, and so that's how I grinded this area. Keep in mind, I don't even have 261 AP on my staff, so I'm not sure if using staff skills with that low AP will be any use. In any case, I grinded fully in Awakening. That's that for the rotation. For my gear, I already mentioned it, and let me, yeah, actually I think that's about it. Let's get into the Excel file and talk about that one. So for this area, I grinded 10 hours in total. I believe I already mentioned that. This is all grinded with a loot scroll enabled, which I didn't actually point out yet. The very first run, which says normal times 1.5, this is a normal run, half an hour, when I was actually just looking around the area, just checking it out. This is the only run without a loot scroll, but then I proceeded to multiply everything by 1.5 just to somehow make it be consistent. So you can consider that everything was tested with a loot scroll enabled, and as you can already see from my trash per hour rates, at best I was able to get 2.2 thousand trash per hour with a loot scroll, and that's actually pretty bad. I managed to find this video online. I don't necessarily know the channel, the YouTuber, but I was just simply looking around for some stars and videos to get an idea of what other people get here, and she was able, at least from the video, to get in about an hour at least 2.5 thousand trash without a loot scroll. So she was getting more trash than me without a loot scroll. So from what I understand, this place is supposed to be comparable to Histria in terms of trash and how much money you make from that, and I believe Star's End is supposed to be the next step after you have the gear to grind Akman. After Akman you move to Histria, and when you are done with Histria, I suppose the next step forward is Star's End. So I would say my trash per hour is pretty underwhelming, disappointing, but in a way I tried to scale it up to maybe simulate what you would get with better gear. On run number 4, this one, let's say about 3.5 hours into this test, that's when I dropped my first and only clear crystal, the one used to make the corrupted gems. When I started this test back, let's say about 1 or 2 weeks ago, something like that, the gem was worth 70 something millions, then it went up to 90 millions a few days later, then 100 something millions, and these days it sits at 183 millions and it's sold out always with a lot of pre-orders. I expect that value to go up even more. You shouldn't be surprised if you see this crystal going above 200 millions in terms of value, but currently it's 183 millions and it's definitely one of the drops that actually carries my money per hour rate. After this one, honestly, the entire 10 hours spent here were more or less, let's say, a pain. I just wanted my second crystal and then just to leave as soon as possible, but sadly I didn't see a second crystal drop. Maybe if I had grinded 20 hours or so, I would have seen a second or third crystal drop. But in terms of drops alone, this area doesn't have a lot of them. You will see 2 types of trash, one of them very cheap, the main trash item, the main bulk of your silver income. Then you have some blackstones, not a lot of money, but just some blackstones as drops. Dust seems to be, I guess, decent in terms of drop rates, and besides that everything else is trash. So this is a very RNG heavy spot in my opinion. You either get just trash and blackstones worth about, if I put here a 0 as if I wouldn't get a gem, the spot drops to 41 millions per hour. So that's probably what you can expect if you get 2000 trash per hour without a loot scroll. So let's say close to Mirmok Ruins without any RNG drops. And if you have the RNG drop to get one of those crystals in 10 hours, at least that if not more, then the spot would jump up to 55 or let's say even more money per hour. The value on top, this 70 millions here, I tried to simulate the case where I would be able to grind at least at fast just as that witch from the video I just showed. So if I could somehow manage to get 2,500 trash per hour, I just simply consider the case where everything would scale equally. So if I bump up my trash per hour to 2,500, then everything else should go up, by a similar margin. So technically, let's say that with 2,500 trash per hour and 1 crystal in 10 hours, you might be able to expect 70 millions per hour, which honestly it's actually pretty good. Besides that, I believe I already said that this area is supposed to get a buff soon, where there's going to be a new earring introduced in the game, and that earring is supposed to be better than the Tungrad earring, which means it's most likely going to be more expensive than the Tungrad earring. That one is supposed to also drop here, which currently is not on the loot table, and if that one drops, let's say about as often as the clear crystal, let's say 1 in 10 hours or maybe more, then you can expect these values to skyrocket and be even higher. So I would definitely say with the proper AP, let's say 270 plus, this area is definitely worth grinding and probably the next step forward after Histria. That's that for the money per hour. I don't really have much to add, just to further show my disappointment in trash per hour. For experience values, I managed to find one session with screenshots on my wizard where the experience buffs were consistent, and this here is supposed to be the experience rate at the experience values at the 100% rate on a level 62 wizard. The skill experience should scale pretty much identically at level 61, so I didn't change it whatsoever. The skill experience should be exactly the same, but the normal experience is where I had problems, and why I mentioned in the beginning of this video that I didn't have a level 61 character. I found a chart that says at level 62 you're supposed to get 2 times less experience than at level 61, but somehow I don't believe that's true, because if I multiply this by 2, as if I take the level 62 experience value and multiply it by 2, that should give me a level 61 experience value, but even so it seems to be way too low. That multiplier should be much higher than 2 times. If you have any knowledge, please let me know in the comments so I can change this in the coming days. If not, I will figure it out myself after I'm done testing the underwater ruins, because for that one I do have a level 61 character to grind there. So I will most likely figure this out myself in a few days, but until then, if it doesn't scale by 2 times, then this experience value is incorrect, and if it is, then you shouldn't really care about it whatsoever. But in general, this area didn't seem to be that good, at least at the 2,200 trash per hour rate that I got at my best run. Funny enough, the one that actually had the perfume on. So there was one session where I had a perfume on just to try and get more AP and hopefully clear faster, and that run just so happened to be the one where I could actually see experience values. Anyway, if I look at my 350% comparison chart, which these days became 450%, this area is pretty much ranked the lowest in experience compared to all of the previous ones. Again, if the experience is scaled properly, if not, it will be in a few days. And the skill experience, it's pretty much comparable to Mirmok Ruins. This area has almost inexistent skill experience. I would say, in general, as a conclusion, let's say to end this video, experience and skill experience, you're not supposed to come here to grind for those. You're supposed to come here when you are level 62 or maybe 63, and when you already have all of your end game gear already grinded. So let's say for those people who still want to progress further, but they want tougher monsters for whatever reason. And yeah, I'm not gonna give this spot a ranking, just because in my opinion, in my eyes, this is an unofficial video. technically, if you think about it, all of my reviews should be unofficial because they are not made by Pearl Abyss. So technically it's all unofficial, but yeah, I would say experience and skill experience, they are both around the C rank. Probably I will fix the experience if the scaling is